Film Club. I'm very worried the camera's going to fall off.
Well, can't we like reinforce it more with Gaffer?
Thank you very much for joining us for one more round.
Let me into that.
And welcome back to another episode of Film Club. I'm one of your hosts, Andy Harrison, and to my right, as always, Andy Donaldson.
Hello.
Every single week in Film Club, we invite you guys at home along with us to watch a film. This week, we've been watching... Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou?
That was wonderful.
So,
give us a rundown. What is Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou all about?
Let me put my little thingy on.
You don't worry. I've already got the timer going.
Thanks. Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou is, it kind of sets off and it's three prisoners who run away to get treasure. And then they meet a number of obstacles on the way, and it's about the experience. And then it turns out there's no treasure. And he just wants his wife back, the lead of them, which is...
George Clooney.
Who plays...
Ulysses.
Yeah, so I didn't know that was his name. I just went by his second name, McGill.
Yes, McGill.
Oh, you know, anyway. What's cool about this film is it's, what's it called? A thingy of Homer's Odyssey.
Yeah.
It's a... I did not know that.
Kind of a retelling.
A retelling, yeah, like a hillbilly retelling.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. A hillbilly retelling, because it's not telling the story of the Odyssey. Instead, what it's doing is...
It's taking characters and...
Yeah, exactly. It's taking characters and themes and like little nods and like the structure of the Odyssey, but telling it in a different time period.
Which is great, because it's really good. Like, I saw this, I was saying to you then, was it 7 years ago when Dad had it, and Dad was like, oh, this is a really good film, you should watch that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dad, I will.
Go on, Clive.
Yeah. And I didn't really enjoy it fully then.
Oh, really? The first time you watched it, you didn't enjoy it?
Like, I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, that was all right. Like, and then I realised now why you thought I'd like it so much, why my dad likes it. It's definitely not my favourite Coen Brothers film, but I still think it's really good. And I like how he put that, like, the draw between that and Inside Llewyn Davies. Yeah,
that's like rewatching this. So, like, the first time I watched this was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I haven't seen it since.
Really?
I'd say, no, that's a lie. I've seen bits and pieces here, and I've never sat down and watched the whole thing since watching it for the first time. Time has passed. They've made other films since then. One of which, Inside Llewyn Davies.
Yeah.
And watching this now, it just doesn't just feel like a stepping stone.
Yeah.
To, it's like, without taking anything away from this film, but like in terms of them being filmmakers, you can see where some of the love, the passion, and the inspiration for something like Inside Llewyn Davies comes from this.
But that's not to say that this film's based around the music, which is in Inside Llewyn Davies.
So different. It's so its own film.
It is.
But
hugely.
It's wonderful.
Where do we start?
Where the hell do you start? So I think the best place to start, we've already mentioned it, is this whole Homer's Odyssey parallel.
Yeah, okay, cool.
It's just like, isn't it just it's an unnecessary but a wonderful framing device?
Yes,
like,
it really is.
You're sitting there, go on.
It reminds me of like stuff that's really out there and weird out the way, and we touched upon this when we went about Slumdog Millionaire, where it's the whole thing's based around Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and how they tell a story. In this case, you've got this, like you said, weirdly unnecessary way of telling. Not that Slumdog wasn't unnecessary, but in this way, it's a bit more unnecessary.
Yeah.
It's a bit odd and unusual, and the way they've done it's fantastic.
It's amazing, and it fits perfectly. Like, everything, like you're watching it, and like they meet the blind guy in the track, who's obviously supposed to be like the is it the sorcerer or the fortune teller, or whatever it is? Where you meet the blind prophet. You've got John Goodman, who is the Cyclops,
That's
which
hilarious.
is hysterical.
What's his name again? He's called something Big Dan.
Yeah, Danny T.
Or something like that. Yeah, Big Dan.
And
kicks the shit out of him.
And you've got like the sirens, which is a great sequence.
Yeah.
And obviously the like that sort of stuff. Okay, often shows up in Coen Brothers films, that sort of weird stuff.
Yeah.
But like even in the Coen Brothers film, you'd be looking at it and you'd think,
like different characters and situations.
Yeah, like imagine so take the like I think Big Dan you can do fine with. The sirens, that scene probably wouldn't work in many of the Coen Brothers films.
No, it's just kind of out there.
But because of the context of this, because of the framing of it, it's amazing.
And it's good to see how like they build upon that as well. They don't just have this weird random thing that happens and then move on from it. They think that what's his name's a toad, don't they?
Toad, oh my god!
It's
the funniest thing ever when he sees like he's like. They left his heart, and then the toad jumps out and he's trying to grab it in the water. It's fucking hysterical.
You got Clooney. He's just like, what's going on here? And what's his name? Delmer, isn't it?
Yeah, and like so. Outside of that, I found something really, really interesting about Homer's Odyssey.
Cool.
Which is, I don't know if you know this. Homer, the guy who wrote the Odyssey, there's a debate amongst historians whether or not he was a actual person, like a fantastic
or a collection
poet,
of works.
Or a collection of works.
I've manually heard this, yeah.
And that got me thinking.
Yeah.
Isn't that this like, because like you start to think, if they've picked Homer's Odyssey and they're going to retell it in this way, why choose this time period? Why choose this tone? Why choose all that like country folky music?
Isn't that because it's a retelling of all?
Exactly. How does folk music evolve?
Yeah.
Because it's a collection. It's the people piecing things together, retelling, reworking, retooling songs, and that's why it blends so fucking well with Homer's Odyssey.
Bob Dylan, good example.
What a better way of like marrying those two things together. The Coen brothers are fucking geniuses.
They really are. You can't deny them. You can't say that's just coincidental. The Coen brothers know what they're doing. They really do. They're incredible. There's a reason they're your favourite directors. I know it's something as well in the credits. I need you to help do this, unless you've already mentioned it at Film Club. He says, directed by Ethan and produced by Joel. Yeah. And it's because you weren't allowed them both to do it, did you?
Yeah. There was, early in their career, you're not allowed, I think it's for the American Directors Guild, you can't be a dual directing credit.
Yeah.
To be recognised by them, you have to be an individual director, unless you can demonstrate to them the importance of both directors, which like they would, so for basically their entire body of work, they were both directing, but they were taking separate credits. One would take director, one would take producer. Until they could eventually demonstrate to the guild that they were both contributing equally. And that's where they're at now. That's why now, if you go see a Coen Brothers film, it'll say directed by either the Coen Brothers, or it'll say Joel and Ethan Coen.
No, I'd honestly love to see how they work. Because we're on about Turbo Kid, where you have 3 directors in it. I just wonder how that would happen on set. How do you have 2 different ones? But the brothers, they know each other really well.
It's great listening to interviews of people who've worked with them.
Oh, really?
They just say they're incredible on set.
Do you reckon it's like the Russo brothers? Do you reckon they're similar? But in a whole different kind of way?
I bet they've got a hugely different work ethic.
Like, in terms of the dynamic towards each other and like their attitude. It must be like,
I've never seen any interviews with the Russo brothers to know what their dynamic's like.
Okay. Because I was thinking, my brother Ben, he does nothing about film or sound, but I know if I wanted to work with him, it would be really good if he wanted to.
That'd be amazing if you guys worked a film. I would so shoot a film for the 2 of you.
Would you? What would Ben do though? What would he do?
He'd play The Hobbit.
Right, so next week in Film Club, we do The Hobbit with Ben. Recreate it.
So, what's next?
So, there's 2 major parts that I think that you want to speak about in this film. But I think for you, it's got to be the music. So, we'll hold on from the music for now.
Okay.
I want to go on about the acting.
Okay.
And the trilogies together. We always go on about how good the chemistry is between a few actors here and there. The 3 of them were fantastic.
Yeah. The 3 of them have this amazing chemistry.
They really do.
And correct me if I'm wrong, 2 of them did actually sing, like, the track.
I don't know, right? The main track, the Soggy Bottoms.
Man of Constant Sorrow.
That's right. The lead vocals, that's what I was just researching before I spoke to you. The lead vocals was done by a fella called Dan Tyminski. Yes. The lead vocal. So it could be the other 2 that did it. I'm not too sure.
So the rumour I've heard is that the other 2 were able to do the vocals.
That's pretty impressive.
George Clooney couldn't do the lead, apparently he tried.
Yeah, well, it's impressive that he actually tried.
Yeah.
It's really impressive. You look at Oscar Isaac and Inside Llewyn Davies, and he does quite a lot of the music there. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
By the way, something I found out the other day, I didn't know this. I was watching Apocalypse. Alex came up and we watched X-Men Apocalypse. Not the best of the new X-Men films at all. But Oscar Isaac was the villain.
Yeah.
I did not know he was Apocalypse.
So he's good, isn't he?
He's very diverse. Like, that's the first time I've seen Oscar Isaac in a different kind of role, so well played, Oscar Isaac.
It's not a particularly well written role in that film. And we're getting on to a completely different film now, but Oscar Isaac nails pretty much every role he does.
He's amazing. You need to watch Ex Machina as well. Anyway, back to this one. So I thought it was really cool because I saw the other 2. You obviously got George Clooney. Everyone knows George Clooney. I looked at the other 2. So we've got John Turturro.
Yep.
Who I was like, I didn't recognise him in that film. It turns out everyone knows him from Transformers series, and he's played a few other things as well that I completely forgot.
He did something huge recently, didn't he?
I could have well have.
You continue. I'm just going to look that up because I'm sure he did something huge. I was like, oh my God, it's John Turturro.
Tim Blake Nelson. And when I was watching it, I didn't really see them that much. But John Turturro, if I can pronounce it properly, apparently does a lot of Coen films. Is that right?
John Turturro?
Yeah.
Oh, is that what he's in?
He's in a lot of films.
Hang on. I will tell you.
Yeah, we're just
he's in The Big Lebowski.
The Last Night.
I think he's in what's the
oh no, that's Hans Fowler.
what's the other Coen Brothers film called?
There's that Serious Man one that you tell me I need to watch, or the other one.
No,
there's loads of.
where he's in the hotel. Barton Fink.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, okay, never mind.
How many Coen films are there? About 20.
No, it's about 14, 15.
Yeah, we need to get through all them. That's a good shout. So yeah, anyway, back to the point. So you have those three. Great chemistry, but I didn't really recognise the other two as much. And yet, at the same time, like when I see an actor, I haven't seen that much unless it's a new actor. I'm like, oh, you know, how will they handle themselves, especially around someone like George Clooney? And I'm sorry to say that, but you know, George Clooney is a well-revered actor for a reason.
Yeah, you're kind of looking for like, comparatively, is this guy as good? Is he breaking the chemistry? Is he making the chemistry?
But they were fantastic.
So
I thought Delmer, who I haven't seen him in anything else at all, Tim Blake Nelson, I thought he was absolutely nails at hillbilly kind of thing. Well, the other one actually did, Tutorial does as well, but he's got this kind of look, hasn't he? He's like...
They're amazing.
And he moves his head like that, like a, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, he's a toad, like this.
I think I'd say if you had three George Clooneys, it wouldn't work.
Yeah, they've all got the like.
They definitely bring that kind of like hillbilly sort of like redneck vibe, like not in a bad way. I know there's like negative connotations.
You've got Pete, who plays like the less intellectual, more brawl of the group.
Yeah, he's the doer. He like wants to make snap decisions.
Yeah, you got Clooney, who's like the intelligent, charismatic one.
Yeah,
he loves his hair.
By the way, he's the schemer.
That great scene where he just wakes up, he goes hair or something like that. My hair.
It's amazing.
I love that in the film.
And the fact that he's asking for like a hairnet. He's obsessed with his Dapper Dan.
When he's got his, he's in the shop and he's like, "You don't have your Dapper Dan?" This is bollocks. This is 18 hairnets. Or 19, however much it is.
I love the line where he says, the guy says, "Oh, it'll take me a couple of weeks to order that in as well." And he's like, "Oh, we're 2 weeks away from everywhere, are we?"
Yeah, no, it's good. There's a good little nod to his hair in that film, which is completely just out of the blue, really, but it's a great part of the thing. And you got Tim Blake Nelson out of the three, who plays like the dumb, lovable guy, and it's like, you know, he's the one that's more emotions and that, which made me laugh actually, because he had that lovely scene with Totoro where it was he was getting really sad. They just broke him out of jail the second time, and he said, "Look, I'm sorry, I told them all about the treasure," and that's when Clooney says, "Oh, you know, not treasure. It's actually because my wife. I don't want her to get married." Then it was like almost like the plot twist of the film. You know, the whole thing that they're going for, the treasure, doesn't actually exist. And it was really well done. I absolutely loved how they did it. I loved how... And by the way, Chris Thomas King as Tommy.
Oh, yeah.
I love how he's like...
He's great. Like, he doesn't get enough screen time in this. No, doesn't get enough lines. He's fantastic.
Because I loved that. I loved how, like... in the band that they're in, he's playing the guitar and he's in the background sort of thing.
Yeah.
And he's like... It's quite predominant in the scene where at the very end of the wedding when they're playing... And he's going, "Oh, that guy, you know, he sold his whole to the devil." And you can see him in the background anyway, but then he hides more behind the people.
Yeah.
Because like someone in that kind of scenario, like a musician, would not necessarily hide behind the band, but would be in the background.
Yeah.
Whereas this film, he does a lot of background stuff, and yet he comprises that trio.
Dedication
He's like
to...
the unofficial member to them.
Dedication to the character there, because he does literally step behind the character. Like, he takes himself off screen.
Yeah.
And like, how many actors would do that?
Yeah. No, that's really good. I thought it was a great... underappreciated actor. Well, I say character, but it's exactly.
And like, we've talked a little bit before about the idea of a film being presented as in medias res, where like you just start in the middle of the action, like there's all this stuff that's come before it.
Yeah.
You're not starting at the beginning of the story.
Yeah.
But what a better example of like both Tommy and the three of them.
Yeah.
Where like you just feel like you're meeting them at a certain point in their lives.
Yeah.
Like, part of the best thing about their chemistry is that you get the feeling they have been chained together for like months.
Well, it's like when they're running,
been hanging out together.
They've got really good coordination, haven't they?
So good. You can watch it down here because it's fucking
brilliant. When they're falling over and stuff like that.
It's jumping up, isn't
it?
it?
They get the train. The train's on the best parts, isn't it? It's just like this. Hey, you guys like this, you know, anyone... he's got great words, Clooney. He's like, iron people can get these casts off. Like that.
This is this quick like cut to this close-up on him as he gets jolted backwards. It's hysterical. And like this is one of my favourite things about the film. It's probably the funniest Coen Brothers film.
Well, Coen Brothers have a trilogy where they do, because they're quite funny in a lot of, well, they are really funny in a lot of stuff they do, but they have this particular trilogy where it's George Clooney.
Oh, the
Hail Caesar, and the other one I don't know.
Oh, not Lady Killers, the other one, Intolerable Cruelty.
Which I need to watch both of them.
You don't need to watch Intolerable Cruelty.
Okay, I need to watch Hail Caesar then.
Hail Caesar's good.
Because I've got that. I noticed when I was looking for this film yesterday, my dad's collection, there's a list of films that I got him. Another one, which is The Descendants, George Clooney, is actually really good.
Oh, it's fantastic, that film. We should do that sometime.
Should definitely do it.
Let us know in the comments below if you want to do Descendants. He says to nobody.
Just there. I love the inclusion of Goodman. Goodman reminds me of, in Pixar, they always have that particular person. It's John Ratzenberger.
Yes.
Mispronounce his name. Who just
can't remember if I know you mean. The voice
Cameo.
of Ham.
Yeah, every one of them. The cat.
Yeah.
No, he's not the caterpillar, is he? Or is he these are the fleas, the boss, isn't he, of the group?
Yeah. I can't remember who he's in A Bug's Life.
He's not
but yeah, he's in every single film. When Same John Goodman turns up in, like, not all their films, but like a whole bunch of their films.
Which is the one where he's in the back of the car?
Inside Llewyn Davies.
Is it Inside Llewyn
Love
Davies?
that role.
Yeah. I enjoyed that. So, dare we move on to the music?
Go on.
So, how good was it?
The music's incredible.
I'm not a huge fan of it, but like, I wasn't a huge fan. I'm not a huge fan of country, kind of like that kind of yodeling, all that kind of stuff. But I really enjoyed this film.
It's just like they know when to. This is when they started playing around, I think, with the idea of letting the music carry parts of the film, and not in a bad way. Not like carry it because the rest of the film can't support it, but like allowing the music to be the center of a scene,
like an integral part of the film.
And it really pops. It really just resonates. Like, and they do it in a very clever way. But like, it really resonates that first time they go and record "Man of Constant Sorrow." First time they are like the Soggy Bottom Boys, and everyone just has a fucking blast with it.
Yeah.
Like, the performance with the music is great, and they let the important element of the scene be the audio, be the music.
Yeah. They do a lot of focus, this and Inside Llewyn Davies, they do a lot of focus on the actual music, making sure that this, it's going to be a great soundtrack. If you listen to both of them, they were fantastic. But it's funny you should say that in regards to that recording studio scene. Little side note to the recording engineer, which is Stephen Root, who is great on, you might know him through Boardwalk Empires. I was looking at some stuff, I was like, he's at Boardwalk, he's Gaston Means, who is a superb character in that see. But Milton in Office Space, have you ever seen it? It's like, there's not enough cake to pass around, there's a cake to ratio people to... Anyway, you have to watch Office Space for Milton. I hope you get an example of that, he's class. Anyway, so they're actually in the studio, and it's good to see how, yes, they might be acting, but the three of them, the trio, just enjoy themselves in the microphone. Yeah. And at the end scene with the wedding, where they're just really loving it.
Oh, that's great. Where like they just really embrace the moment. Like they're all pissing about on scene, and like they're being performers, and you feel like these guys have actually found something they can do, which is legitimate, and it's not stealing, it's not whatever it is that they got caught for, practicing law or illegally. It's not any of that stuff. Like, they can do this legitimate job, and everyone loves them for it. Yeah, it's just a really good film. But then you have other scenes where when they're about to die and they've got the noose. Oh God, that haunting sort of that really like kind of somber kind of. It's like bluesy sort of a cappella coming from those. Is it the three black guys who are digging the graves? And then just ends in this great note where he goes, they're all like sing like this, and he goes, and it's like this really low note. Yeah, as that blue water just washes in, like you're on that shot for ages, and like you're letting that whole thing just like literally wash over you. And it was a great scene. It was Clooney, where it's facing him like that. And then the camera just goes and rises up between the three of them. Yeah. And then noose there. Yeah. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I mean, the film shot by Roger Deakins, who's like long-time collaborator of Coen Brothers. He works with them all the time. Until the recent one where he was, don't tell me, it was the one I told you that had died to piss you off. He hadn't died. I can't remember his name. Bruno Delbonnel is the guy who shot Inside Llewyn Davies, but I think George Deakins shot Hail Caesar. Who's the one that did Interstellar? Hoyt van Hoytma. Has he not worked with Coen Brothers? I thought it was him. All right, I'll take that back. I'm just thinking something stupid. Deakins, right? There's a really good thing in this film. I hope I know the kind of colour grading of it. Hey, go on. So I noticed it first scene. It's because I've got this thing in my Mac where it's called Flux. It's a really good app because it's when it's late at night, it goes red screen. So I thought, oh shit, is that on? When I watched it, I was like, no, I don't have it in this particular... Anyway, has a really nice orange tone to it. Yeah. But at the very same time, when Andy says, when you do colour grading, a lot of people, they improve the orange and to make it look a bit better, but then everyone comes a bit orange in their faces as well. Yeah. I think this is not an example of that, but there's a really good... They managed to maintain those skin tones. Exactly. Yeah. And especially like when they're going to Ku Klux Klan and you see how dirty they are and they do look a bit dark, and then that's why they get mistook for... Sorry, side note. Yeah. Can we just acknowledge one of the funniest Coen Brothers films, which is really funny, has a scene with the Ku Klux Klan in it. Which is really interesting because when we spoke about Django... I love him so much. We spoke about Django, we were a bit like, this whole thing about, racism and stuff like that, and Django was like going a bit too far in it. This was a very minor inclusion, but you had the Ku Klux Klan, but the way they portrayed him, I don't know, I think that was much better. Yeah.
I enjoyed the Ku Klux Klan and Django really, but
they
it's the whole
portray
film
them as people who are in the wrong, as people who are absolute idiots. And the best thing, when the guy at the end who's running for mayor or whatever it is,
put him on the stick, don't they?
Yeah, when he reveals that he's a member of the Ku Klux Klan, the whole room like just goes silent.
Yeah.
And they all hate him for it, which is like that's how you represent something like that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Carrie, I cut you off.
Going back to Deacons, right? So you have this amazing kind of orange kind of atmosphere, but then you have, when at the night, it was all this amazing blue. And blue and orange are really good contrasting colours on the colour wheel. So, aren't they? Yeah,
they do.
And I thought it was really cool. I love that inclusion of it. So, well played, Deacons.
Well, do you know the big story?
Go on.
Do you know why this is not just a great film, but a fucking landmark film for cinema?
Why?
Because it was this film that introduced the idea of colour grading to mainstream cinema.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Since when?
Since this film came out.
When did it come out?
Like, obviously, there'd been shorter productions, there'd been smaller productions which had played around with like colour grading. That's how like someone like Roger Deakins like found out about it.
Holy shit!
But before this film, like what was coming out of Hollywood wasn't being colour graded.
But why is that then?
Because it was all being shot on film. You didn't need to. Like, film's got a great look on its own.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
The big problem they had, if I remember right, was they wanted to make it feel like it had a timeless quality to it.
It's got that lovely sepia tone to it, hasn't it?
Exactly. They're going for kind of like that sepia sort of yellows and oranges and browns. Sepia. Tomato. Potato.
Anyway.
And the whole thing was like, they had a problem with that. And if you look at some of the stills they released they released a couple of stills that like show the before and after. And you get to see some of the shots before and how green everything is. Yeah. And like it does give the film such a hugely different tone. And obviously you couldn't, if you're gonna alter the colour slightly in the way you process the film, which you can do, you can process the film slightly and shift the colour. Yeah. It would have shifted, you're right, all the skin tones and things in the wrong way. So they wanted to take certain colours, alter them, give it a whole like, that's why you get like these lush yellow fields and like if everything feels kind of autumnal. Yeah. It doesn't feel like, it feels like summery autumnally. It doesn't feel like spring. And if you look at
if it's spring, it'd be a bit more optimistic kind of film, a bit more like, this is a lovely kind of...
Exactly. And this gives it more of like a timeless sort of, it's like it's a tale for the ages. Yeah. Which is like, again, ties back into the whole Odyssey thing. Yeah.
Interesting.
Amazing. Yeah, so this set precedence. After this, suddenly everyone in Hollywood started colour grading.
Which is really interesting now, because when Andy goes and at the Academy Awards for cinematography, you reckon there should be 2 categories, don't you?
I do. I think there should be... it's not just me. This is a big movement in the kind of the industry. Some people believe that there should be 2 awards for best cinematography, one which is best natural cinematography, and one which is best CG cinematography, because this all kicked off really. I mean, it was boiling beforehand, but it kicked off when...
Was it Gravity?
Gravity won over... It won over a few things, but the big one I thought was, I think it was Her, and it might have been Inside Llewyn Davies that same year.
Oh, did they both come out at the same time? Her and Inside?
I think so.
Shit. Because Her is...
And like, the thing is, Gravity, amazing... It's amazing how they managed to conceptualize that and how they managed to shoot it and how they managed to choreograph everything. But all the light in it, not all the light, but like there's so much of the light is fake. And like that's commendable in its own way. But it's not like so much of this film is natural. And yeah, there's the color grading stuff. Yeah. That was a technological development. But like the way the light falls, the way he's using shadow and highlights and the way he's using contrast, like all that is natural.
So, Academy Award people, if you're watching.
Yeah, make a second goddamn category.
The things.
Is there anything else you would like to add?
I just liked a little shout out to one of the characters I really loved, who again, very Coen Brothers kind of style, Babyface. What was his name? The guy that gets really happy, he rubs back George Nelson. George Nelson. Incredible, isn't he? What do you guys get in?
It turns up at the end. He goes into like some sort of weird deep depression.
Yeah, he does.
And then turns up at the end, happy as Larry being like lugged off somewhere.
I really enjoyed that character. It was one of my favourites. It's not my favourite in the entire film. So it was really nice to come back to. It was really nice to revisit this again, as this whole film club is, and just actually appreciate why you said, "Oh, really? No, brother, you should watch that again," and why my dad likes it. And it's really good. Like, it paves the way really well for Inside Llewyn Davies, a good stepping stone, as you said. Yeah. So it's really interesting.
Like, it paved a way to like a couple of their other films as well, but it just so happens that musically it ties very strongly to Inside Llewyn Davies,
which is interesting. So, a really good soundtrack. dare we go on, going about next week's film?
Yeah, well, if you want to let us know what you thought of Oh Brother Where Art Thou, you can hit us up in the comments below, or you can hit us up on Twitter as well. Next week, I don't know what we're watching because I wasn't allowed to know. Andy's got a surprise for us.
Well, I thought since we're going on the subject of soundtrack, which this film's great for, dare we look at someone who we haven't actually covered yet? I mean, a composer, sorry. Someone I really revere inside his music, and it's 28 Days Later.
Motherfucker.
John Murphy does the music for it, and I was listening to stuff on the way down here. His scores that got rejected. It's on Spotify, and I was thinking, oh my God, it's been a while since I listened to some good John Murphy stuff.
Nice.
So let's do that. Danny Boyle.
Let's do it, Danny Boyle. We've done Danny Boyle before with Trainspotting.
Oh, you did Trainspotting 2, didn't you?
Trainspotting 2.
Slumdog
we didn't do first Trainspotting, did we?
No.
Oh, okay, Slumdog, we did that. So we've done some Danny Boyle before, and have we not done John Murphy yet? No. Amazing.
So he's also done Kick-Ass, he's done Sunshine. Sunshine's the big one. Yeah. He collaborated with Underworld.
One day we'll do Sunshine, and that'll be so
I was going to choose that, but then I thought, no, we'll hold off. I think I fancy that. And we haven't done a zombie film.
Have we not?
Zombies. No.
Cool, let's do it.
So
if you want to watch 20 days later, I always got to say weeks later now, it really annoys me. 20 days later, we'll see you guys next week to have a chat about it.
Bye.